Hello everyone, welcome to another installment to my channel. Today I'm covering Daily Race B out of Suzuka. This event is 5 laps and this is in Group 3 cars. I'm racing out of Class D, which is really bad for me, but when they made the updates to Gran Turismo a few weeks ago, they made a new update that totally changed the physics, and I've been struggling with trying to learn the new physics because the way the cars handle now are completely different. And a couple weeks ago, when they made the update, I tried running some daily races and my driver rating got nuked because I was crashed a lot. There's been a lot of accidents and everybody's been struggling in the lower lobbies with the new physics. So my safety rating was nuked. My driver rating, I went from B to D. So I'm trying to get my driver rating back up, and I finally learned the physics through the cars. I finally figured everything out. So I'm coming back to build up my driver rating. The thing is, this race today is Class D, but looking at the qualifying times, it appears that other users and other drivers have been having the same issues as I have, because this is Class D, but the times are consistent with times that I've seen in Class B. So I guess I'm not the only sandbagger out here today. For this race, I chose to use the Renault RS01. It seems to do pretty good for me on this track. The meta car, this isn't the meta car, but I've never really cared about using meta cars because I go with what suits my driving style. The Renault RS01 is a mid-engine car. I typically drive mid-engine cars better than I do front-engine, rear traction cars. I don't know, it just works for me. A little history about the Renault RS01. This is a real production race car that was made by Renault. It's manufactured out of France. And this car is basically not a production car that's available to the public to drive in the streets. It was developed solely for racing. It's basically taken the motor out of a Nissan GTR that was tuned by Turismo. It's a twin turbo V6. And it produces 550 horsepower. But instead of the GTR that's ran out of was a front engine car for the GTR, this is a mid-engine configuration. It has a 7-speed transmission. The frame and body is made of carbon fiber to decrease the weight, and it runs a 7-speed sequential transmission operated with pedal shifters. It also sports a couple of 15-inch rotors, so it's got really good stopping power. I really enjoy driving this car. So we're in lap 2 right now, and I'm seeming to hold my own. There's a lot of good drivers out here. It seems like in these races in D-class like this, is typically the top guys that you see at the top are probably the faster drivers, and the true D-class drivers are toward the back, because there's a pretty good amount of distance between the group that I'm in that's at the front and the ones that are at the rear. Since I've been racing on the European servers, I've had a better experience than the American servers, and it's like I'm really afraid to go back and race over there because it's like the drivers are just so dirty. They drive so dirty over there. I mean, there's dirty drivers here, as you can see there, but it's not as bad as it is on the United States servers. So I'm up to position 3 right now. The driver with the user handle Hershey's 20, he seems to be a pretty dirty driver. He's very skilled, but I actually went back and looked at the replays, and I can see where he's made like a lot of moves and stuff on the track that weren't really, polite. He forced one guy off the track that was doing really well, and then when he makes the pass on me, he He earlier, like he took me out inside of the curves. Luckily, I didn't lose control of the car. So drivers like this are common on every server, but it's not as bad as it is here on the European servers. With the new mechanics, I've had to adjust the way that I drive the car, and it's actually more realistic, compared to real life, because you have to do a lot more trail braking. So I've had to relearn how to do braking into turns, because before it was a lot more forgiving. Now it's not as forgiving. And there's also issues where the body your car will get unsettled and it comes off balance, and this happens in real world, so this is a very common situation. The way the weight transfer, they've actually updated it. I think it's really good, but it took a while for me to get accustomed to it. So if you apply too much brake in certain areas, and if your car is not exactly, for example, if you're in a straight line, that's when you do your most aggressive braking. Before, I was able to use a lot of brake going into corners, and it was forgiving. But now with the new updates, whenever I tried to do the same thing, I just ran somebody off the course. Yeah, he ran somebody off the course. He forced a driver off the track. Before, when I would do like aggressive braking in turns, it was forgiving, and I could pull it off, and it's like I could recover. But now with the new updates, if you do too much braking into a turn, the car will lock up, and you'll lose control of the car. You will either get a lot of oversteer, and that's happened to me several times. So we're on lap 4 right now. Actually, the person that's in first place right now, he actually got wrecked at the very end of the race by Hershey's 20, the guy that just passed me from India, and he rage quit. He quit right before the finish line. I don't know why he did that, because he would have had second place, but I guess he really wanted to win, so he did a rage quit and actually quit the race, and I ended up with second place. So we're on lap 4 or 5 right now, and the field is pretty distant right now. The back of the pack is in the back. I'd probably say from position 7 on back or 6 on back are probably your real D drivers. I was really surprised when I joined this race, because I got a pretty decent time. I wouldn't say it's the best, but it's pretty decent, probably consistent with B class. But I was surprised to see that there were times that were just like faster than mine. And these are D-level drivers. I think some of them are good at making qualifying time trials, and they start in a better position. But I think that they make a lot of mistakes. So maybe these good lap times that you see, they're not consistent. Typically, my times are probably within a half a second or a second of each other. So I'm pretty consistent. And since I ran this race, I've actually improved my times a little bit better. So I'm now running down into the 202s, and load the high 203s consistently now, since I've just had a chance to practice the track. And I really haven't spent a lot of time on daily races. As much as I probably could to get my DR rating back up. Basically just been having fun, learning how the different cars that I've driven before the new update. I'm just relearning everything. So I haven't really raced that much in daily races. So I'm in third place right now. Final lap. Now if you look up there at the chart on the left side, you'll see that the person in first position right before the race, you can just see just disappears. And it's because she's 20. He wrecked him in the final turn, and the guy got mad and he quit. And I really don't blame him, because I hate it when people do that. There's people out there that they'll purposely punch you into a turn. Here's where it's really hard to recover to get in front of you. And in the real world, this is a pretty bad move. It's very dirty, because in real life you don't do this. Real racing, I try every race that I run. I try to run a race online in this game or simulator the same way I would in real life. And in real life, you don't make contact like that. But here, people just see. There goes the guy. He went from first place and he disappeared because Hershey's wrecked him. But it's like, you don't make contact in real life, and it's like, that's just not the way that I drive. And I really don't want to win that bad that I gotta punch somebody off the course, and I don't think it's cool. So I finished in second place. This is a race I actually went back at the C class. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.